If you ask most people why they aren't running their own business instead of building someone else's, you'll get a ton of different answers. But the two most common ones I would say is that one, they either don't have enough time or they don't have enough capital to start with. And personally, I think that's an excuse. And if you give me the next few minutes, I'll prove it to you. My name's Anthony, and I'll tell you a story of how I discovered land flipping in 2023, and in just 4 months later, I made a $50,000 profit from it. But before that, I used to job hop while in college, and I continued to do so even after dropping out of college. And I had over $100,000 worth of student loan debt, and I could not take that anymore. I felt suffocated, and I couldn't live the life that I wanted, and I couldn't even picture myself having a family at the time. So I decided to take matters into my own hands and start my own business. And I started off trying to sell sex toys, and I even had my own podcast to run traffic to it. And I absolutely wasted time, money, and most importantly, my reputation was absolutely trashed. Then later on in 2018, I got into Amazon FBA, and I was buying things on sale from stores like Trader Joe's and then listing them on Amazon for a profit. Made some tiny profits, but it was change compared to the hassle that it took. I was broken, but not ready to give up. As I was job hopping, I got into selling tech software and moved to LA. And the LA life was not for me, but it was good money to reinvest in my online business. I ended up getting into the DeFi space and started investing in crypto. And what I would try to do is I would try to buy low and then sell high, but I could never get the timing down. And I lost the last $3,000 I had to my name. But for the record, I did make $300 before losing it all. But for real, the failure was really tough. And so I started drinking and smoking weed to cope with my failure. My debt got worse and worse, and I even ended up taking payday loans. And those were days where I had to either decide to pay for rent or have food to eat. And that was never an easy decision to make. In 2022, I started working as a loan officer, and that's when my dad approached me and told me to look into land flipping. And once he told me to do so, I dove right into it, and we were able to actually profit $50,000 in just 4 months. But that's not even the craziest part. We didn't have to use any of our own capital other than for marketing expenses. So then that gave us the capability to scale to six figures, and I ended up working as chief operating officer for one of the biggest educators in the land space. This allowed me to quit my job in 2023. How we did it without any capital is simple. We partnered with investors and leveraged private money lenders, joint venture, transactional funding, and more. Now, if you think private money is easy when you have rich parents, you couldn't be more wrong. In my free community, we have active investors looking to fund deals and even buyers. You can also find investors to do deals with on social media and across specific sites. One that I like is Land Funding Partners, which specializes in land investing. To put this into perspective, you find an investor who brings the money and the other one brings the deal and does the work. Then you split the profit. So let me give you a simple example. You find a 10-acre parcel off market that you get under contract for, let's say, $40,000. It's undervalued and it fits all of your buying criteria, but you don't have the capital to actually close and buy it. So you bring the deal to an investor. They fund the entire purchase and closing costs associated with the transaction. So what you're responsible for is you handle all the due diligence, marketing, and the sale. You both sign a clear joint venture agreement, otherwise known as a JV agreement. Then let's say 3 months later, the property sells for $80,000. The investor gets their $40,000 back first, then you split the profit 50-50. Very clean, simple, and fair when you are first starting off. So why this works? Investors get to make money without doing really any work, and then you get to close deals you couldn't afford on your own. Everyone knows their role up front. If you structure it right, it's way less riskier than borrowing money. There's no interest, no personal liability, just a clear agreement and aligned incentives. I've done multiple deals like this. It's very common in the land flipping space. Some are with friends, and then some are with people that I met through the land flipping community. The key is transparency and a strong contract. If you can find good deals, you'll never be limited by your own bank account. That is the unlock to this. Now let's talk about the credibility that makes all of this work. So let's start by setting up a real business. Your LLC, business email, a simple website, and a professional phone line. Close through a local title company or closing attorney. Never try to self-close on your own. There's way too much risk associated with that. So have a short page with a few reviews or basic case notes. Sellers and investors both want the same thing. They want certainty. When a seller asks why your offer is so low, lead with data. We price on recent sales, condition, and cost. We close quickly through a title company. If you have a different number, walk me through that and how you got it, and let's see if we can work something out. What data does is it ends up draining the emotion from the conversation. When assignments are blocked or your spread is large, try to use transactional funding for a clean double close. A lender funds your A to B purchase for a few hours up to 48 hours. They get repaid from your B to C buyer. Now, I know that sounds like a mouthful, but I go over that a little bit more in depth in my free community. So what happens is you keep the spread minus a very small flat fee. So what do you actually do next? Here's a simple 1-week plan to get momentum quickly. Day 1 to 2, you're going to pick one disclosure state and 2 counties that fit your numbers. Day 3, pull off-market owners anywhere from 2 to 50 acres owned 9 years or more. And then day 4 to 5 is when you're going to start your outreach with a clean script and a real website. Day 6 is where you're going to package your best response into a 1-pager and pricing packet. Day 7, present it to 3 funders. Ask for simple terms, close through a title company or closing attorney that is local to the area. At the end of the day, the only thing you need to start is some startup capital for marketing and the knowledge to do the work. A few $1,000s will cover the basics. That's all you need to get started. Then you build your capital by partnering with investors and you expand your business. You keep more of the profits when you start doing some of the deals on your own. That is where you really start to grow and scale things. Most people say they need capital and time before they start. The people who win learn the skill that attracts both. If you want help with the basics and a place to ask real questions without spam, my free community is open. It's a low noise group with simple breakdowns, notes from my own deals, and a thread where you can connect with other beginners and early operators. The link's in the description. I'll see you inside.